10 random magic cards rated day number 136. Did you think we weren't going to do one today? Fool, you have your little faith. Let's see what the first card of the day is here on a beautiful Friday night. Moon high in the sky, looking good. It's a Shauku's minion from Mirage. This has only ever been printed in Mirage, but is not part of the reserve list, so it must be pretty bad. This is a black and a red for a 2/2 human minion. If you pay a black and a red and tap it, it deals 2 damage to a white creature. That's pretty bad. It's fairly bad. It's not good. 3 mana 2/2 that's hard to cast. You have to pay too much for the activated ability. Not only is the activated ability too much, it is also restricted by color. And the actual ability itself, like what you can do the damage to, is restricted by color as well. That sounded kind of confusing, but still, yeah, the card's pretty bad. Art's kind of cool. I like the bird on the art. Apart from that, the card's kind of terrible, but I like its vibe. You know, everything is vibes. In the end, I do like its vibe. So I'm going to give the card like a 2.9 because, you know, against small white creatures, it might be okay. It might also kind of suck. It might just be too slow even against the decks you're supposed to play it against, you know. But I still think for the most part, like, yeah, 2.9-ish. Vibe alone, though, 7, you know, it's all right. But second card of the day is Chaos Lace. You might get it as your rare, and you'll be really mad. All right, so this is a single red mana for an instant. Target spell or permanent becomes red. That's it. That's all it does. You can get an unlimited one right now for $11. Revised edition? Revised edition rare? Less than 50 cents. It's really bad. This card is uniquely bad. It's just not good at all, actually. Wow. This is, you know, the more you look at Chaos Lace, the more you're like, this is actually one of the worst cards ever. Like, so what? so what? Okay, it's red. All right. It's like, I don't really care. 0.9. That's really low. I bet you didn't know we could go below 1. I guess I'm legally allowed to. Why not? So what could possibly worse? Like 0.5, right? Like 0.5 for Chaos Lace is so bad. It's really... What are you doing with this? Give me your Chaos Lace ideas in the comments section. Moving on to Optical Optimizer from Unstable, so we don't have to look at it because it's from an unset. Penumbra Wurm from Apocalypse is up next. I remember this guy. 7 mana, 5 and 2 green for a 6/6 worm with trample. When it's put into a graveyard from play, you put a 6/6 black worm creature token with trample into play. Crazy, right? So when this guy dies, you just get another one. So anytime you see an ability like this, like Volborn Tyrant in Standard does this right now. Yeah, it's that. It's this guy that all derives from. I believe this is one of the first dudes to do a thing like this. And now green creatures tend to sometimes do this. Just leave behind a pseudo copy. He's not terrible by back then standards, but by now standards, just 6/6 trample for 7. Sure, he puts another one into play. Again, so who gives a crap? There is a card that any other day of the week, Wormcoil Engine. Thank you, brain. Let's say there's a card that any other day of the week I would be able to remember the name of, but it's Wormcoil Engine is like the good version of this effect, right? Like that's the one that probably has the most like love from the community. It was actually like a pretty serious card for a while. Penumbra Wurm is not on that level, but I'm still going to give it like a 4.2. Sure. Like, I was ever going to do a decimal here? Somebody the other day was like, don't do a decimal, just do like a round number. And it's like, a decimal's so much more fun. It's way more fun to do a decimal. Like, absolutely. 4.25679, as a matter of fact, for Penumbra Wurm. So, yeah. Let's do that. Body count, 4, 5, 6, 7. That wasn't as random as it seemed, was it, Deb? Body count is from New Capenna Commander. Where's one that looks like an actual magic card? There it is. 3 mana, 2 and a black for an instant with Spectacle. Hey, it's got Spectacle for a single black. So you can cast it for its Spectacle cost if an opponent lost life this turn. Draw a card for each creature that died under your control this turn. Okay, I see what you're trying to do with this. But it's probably not going to work all the time, you know. You run a bunch of dudes in for an attack, so you run like 4 guys in for an attack step, and 2 of them die, and 2 of them do damage to your opponent. You draw 2 cards for 1 mana. Does that actually work? Maybe it does. I mean, the card's like $1 or like 60 cents. You know, there are cards from New Japan Commander that are like way, way, way cheaper than that, and like they're rares too. I don't know. Maybe people are doing stuff with it. Dumb. I'm so stupid, bro. It's Aristocrats. I actually need to buy this card right now. Buy body count. It's actually very gross when you think about it for even half of a second, especially, you know, I'm supposed to be the Aristocrats guy. I have like 3 different Aristocrats Commander decks right now. Just did an Aristocrats video for the channel. Always doing an Aristocrats video for the channel. Yeah, it's an Aristocrats card. I've never seen this before. And for some reason, it took a full like 45 seconds for my brain to be like, but what if, you know, it's, you like sacrifice a bunch of your own guys and then you draw a bunch of cards. So, cool. It's not as good as the thing from Strixhaven, where like you sacrifice a bunch of creatures and you draw a card for each creature you sacrifice, costs 2 mana, and you know what I'm talking about. You probably don't know what I'm talking about, but that seems to be like the card that Commander decks that want to sacrifice creatures use. But you could also use this, Porque no los dos, as they say. I'm actually gonna give this like a 6.3 because like thinking back on some of the turns I've taken in LSO Core, like yeah, you could have drawn like 12 cards, especially bringing the same like reassembling skeleton back from the graveyard over and over and over and over. You just draw like 8. You know, it's totally easy to do that. So yes to body count. You're awesome, dude. First thing I've written down to like buy in a good long time. Hedge Maze. We've already done these surveil lands, but I can't remember what I gave them. They're like a 7 at least though. These are at least a 7. I know they're coming to play tab, but like they have both of the land types and they surveil, which is just incredible. So it's like probably like 70. These are really good. We'll move on to Colony Garden here from a bunch of stuff, but originally from World Wake. This is still like $1. So it's a land that ETB's tapped, and when it does ETB, you get a 0/1 plant token. All right, and it also taps for a green mana. So that's really good. It's so good. A land drop that also puts a body on the table. 7 again, 7 at least. That's phenomenal, bro. That's really, come on, man. What do you want? That's so good. Hazel's Nocturne from Bloomborough is up next. This is 4 mana, 3 and a black for an instant. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your yard to your hand. Each opponent loses 2 life, whereas you gain 2 life. All right, so a little black burn. There's a lot of like small creatures in it or something. It could work, but probably not. I do like the instant speed though. I'll say I like the each opponent too in Commander, but it's just not going to be worth the deck slot like anywhere in like any format. It just doesn't quite get there, I think. But if you want to look at it like this, you know, these like 4 mana blue instant speed effects that draw 2 cards and do something else, like sometimes those are playable. And this does that, right? It draws 2 cards from your graveyard. You can choose what they are, so long as they're creatures. So you put 2 cards in your hand for 4 mana at instant speed, and then gravy, right? A little bit of drain, a little drainage. So like, you know, whatever. But still not actually good. So 3.7. Yeah, 3.7. Next is Kolaghan Warmonger from March of the Machine Aftermath. This is 3 mana, 2 and a red for a 3/2 Ogre Warrior with haste. Whenever it attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a dragon from among them. Put that thing in your hand, put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Dice to cut down, I guess. It matters. Dice to shock and stuff too. It does have haste, so I guess you can near immediately put a dragon in your hand. So if it gets a dragon, at least it replaced itself. But if it dies for a removal spell, well, whatever, you know. It's not good though. Really not. It's not very good. 3.7. 3.7. Just really, it's very narrow. Maybe in your Commander deck. It could actually work in your Dragon Commander deck, but I just keep thinking like, okay, what do you got, like 64 slots, non-land slots in your Dragon Commander deck? Is this guy in the top 64 Dragon Synergy cards you can play in all of Magic history? I don't think so. I'll move on to Shunt. This is from Darksteel, but also 10th edition. This is 3 mana, 1 and 2 red for an instant. Change the target of target spell with a single target. So I don't know why I did it like Seinfeld. Change the target of target spell with a single target. You ever notice how sometimes spells have single targets? So I guess this is supposed to redirect like a giant fireball or something like that. But you could also redirect a removal spell or a card draw spell or a discard spell. Those are all kind of fun things to do. But, I think sometimes when you see a card like this, you think it's going to be great. And then it rots in your hand for like 8 turns until it finds the right thing. And by then it's too late. I don't trust cards like this, but I still at the same time have a weird and special love for cards like this. One of my the first cards that I really would sought after, was Deflection from Ice Age. It was a chase rare from that set. But just like Jester's Cap, you can get one for less than $1 now. It's not. It was once a chase rare, but now it's just kind of a piece of garbage. And Deflection is basically this, but also it's 4 mana. And it's blue. It's easier to cast because it's 3 and a blue. This is 1 and 2 red, so. Again, easier to cast, but more mana. And again, that was a chase rare at one point in Magic history. And by the time Shunt came along, I'm pretty sure people were already yawned. It's not good. So, I don't know, dog. I'm going to give it a 4. And the floor is pretty low on this. Again, it rots in your hand for a bunch of turns. But the ceiling, my grandmother, the ceiling is ridiculous on Shunt. So don't shunt it. Punt it. Don't punt it. Shunt so that you don't punt. Let's move on to the next card, man. It's a forest. The art is, it's fine. Next is Eyekite, though. This is from Modern Horizons originally. This is 2 mana, 1 and a blue for a 1/2 Drake with flying. He gets +2/+0 as long as you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn, and he's looking at me funny. Dan Scott, he just went out and I made this awesome Drake, Dan Scott, he calls up Wizards. All right, I did the Drake commission that you wanted from me. And Wizards takes a look at it, and they're like, okay, it looks good. Now go to the craft store and get some googly eyes. And just slap them on. Perfect magic card. All right, so this is not good. It says, it's a 3/2 flyer if I've drawn 2 or more cards. Well, I guess that's not terrible. you draw your second card on your turn, and you swing in. I mean, a 2 mana investment for a 3/2 flyer, it's whatever. I'll give it a 3.5. You're never actually going to play this card. It's not. I don't think that will ever come up, period. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. 9th card of the day, Inspiration. 4 mana, instant, target player draws 2 cards. I was just talking about this effect earlier, but the effect is supposed to have gravy. There's supposed to be something else to this card. This is the first time we tried to fix. I don't know if it's the first time. I think the first time we tried to fix Ancestral Recall was Brainstorm. And that was still way too good. What are you doing? That's crazy. You see how good that card is? So this is just a massive overcorrection. It's instant speed. It draws a couple of cards, not 3. And it's going to cost you 4 times as much as Ancestral Recall. What? But people still played this. People still played Inspiration in control decks of the day because there wasn't a whole lot of better stuff. Unless you wanted to play Brainstorm, you'd play that. But Inspiration did see a tiny amount of play, and it has become the inspiration for a lot of effects like it over time. We're still printing these 4 mana draw 2 and instant speed effects in blue with nearly every set. But now, again, we gotta come with something a little better than that's it, So I want to give Inspiration the honorary 5. Look at this beautiful Visions art by Zena Saunders here. Amazing color palette on this. The decision to put this sort of fuchsia as the background just really makes the card pop. It's gorgeous magic card. But that said, I can't give it the honorary 5. I don't think it's even in that territory nowadays. I'm going to give Inspiration a 3.74 because it's still draw 2 cards at instant speed. And that's always going to be okay, if nothing else. But you won't play it. Final card of the day is Veiled Crocodile with art by Paolo Parente from Urza's Saga. This is 3 mana, 2 and a blue for an enchantment. If a player has no cards in hand, if Veiled Crocodile is an enchantment, then Veiled Crocodile becomes a 4/4 that counts as a crocodile. So if you play this and then empty your hand, 3 mana, 4/4. Ta-da! That's all it does, though. It's vanilla 4/4 for 3 mana. I don't think you wanted to do that. Veiled Crocodile, 1 with nothingness, or 1 with nothing. Gotcha. But I guess if you can play this in discard and make your opponent have no cards, and okay, that's cool. Once it's a 4/4, then it's always a 4/4. So it doesn't like revert back to an enchantment if somebody has cards in hand. So I guess, get him down to nothing once, 4/4. He still spent 3 mana. Not good. It's just not good. Really, it's amazing when you look at Urza's Saga and like how many broken cards are in that set. And then you look at this, a rare from Urza's Saga, and it's just like kind of dog water. It's not, you're not great, man. So I know back then a 3 mana 4/4 was something, but it's still, you have to jump through too many hoops to get this thing. So I'm going to go with like, it's actually tough. I'm going to go with like a 3.0. You don't even deserve that, do you? You don't even deserve that. 2.6 for Veil Crocodile. And I don't even think that's a good, that's probably too high, honestly. But I hope you enjoyed this installment of 10 cards rated, everybody. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.